day, the first day in the month of July 2019. We are about to start talking about aviation, and so much is happening in that sector. As I speak now, the airports are indeed bubbling in Abuja here. As I speak, the airport in Lagos is also bubbling. As I also speak, airports across the world. Imagine what will be going on now at Heathrow Airport. It's just one beehive of activity. When you talk about airports like the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, one busy place. You look at the airport at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, it's oftentimes very busy, but not as busy as it was when we had Hajj and lesser Hajj here. The Oliver Tambo Airport at South Africa is very, very, very much busy. When you also just oppose that with the airport at Senegal, that's the Leopold Sédar Senghor Airport. I got that currently here. That is also busy. When you go around the world, airports are indeed very busy. But one thing you love about the airport, if you are these guys who love to get things for free, you go for duty free. You know, we love that so much. Hey guy, give me chara. Or sometimes you got some guys that who are smarter than you do. They want to sell their things. They jack the price up and tell you buy two get one free, and you think you're buying two and getting one free. Sometimes you just buy something at even a slightly higher price. You're not a smart guy who want to buy outside before you get to the airport. But one good thing about the airport environment, hey, anything you buy in there is almost 170%, not 100% now, 70% genuine. And when you buy that, the perfumes are killing, the wristwatches are beautiful, and when you put those things on, then you are good to fly. So when you are in any airports across the world, I have not attained that stage yet, but across the world, when you get to airport, just go to shop and enjoy your time. My name is Aero. It's not time for us to talk aviation. One man had spent his time, his moment, his resources, and all to be part of the program. He worked so tirelessly, believing that air travelers must know and know adequately what is happening around them. And that's the man you see on the screen there, Mr. Godwin N. Ike. That initial N, I have not known that, but today I'm going to know that here. I just think about Godwin N. Ike. Some call him Goddy Ike. Remove the win, add a D and a Y, and you may have a Goddy on the other side, then Ike is good. Even Ike can be Ike Chukwu and several others here. So this morning I'm going to ask him, give us what the Godwin we know very well, then the N and the Ike is the Ike Chukwu, and whatever the Ike is, we'll add that together. The telephone number is on the screen, the email address is there, the website is there for you to go do some browsing there. That's the YouTube channel. Watch the video, this video and several other video here, and the Twitter handle at Aviation Freaks. So much social media platform here for us to interface and be part of this very vital discourse. So a wonderful morning.
Hi, good morning, Arthur.
Good morning very much.
How was your weekend?
Well, weekend was fine. I was at work. I got some social media distractions everywhere.
Yeah.
Bob busting, everything. But just a past now.
No, wonderful, wonderful. Especially the Shoyinka issue.
No, the Shoyinka issue had so much. Yeah, and I saw an article this morning on the Punch. Yeah, the day grammar failed Wole Soyinka. So much. Yeah. Well, but quickly before we take our topic for
that's
today,
correct. Yes.
I know I had chance when I'm traveling. I got sometimes the plane appear not so full, and I just go take it 3-seat only. Me, I want to enjoy my time, stretch the body and all of that. There are times when I had mistakenly just said to somebody, you say, hey guy, you're on my seat and I will leave. There are times I had also gone to beg some persons. I want to sit close to the exit point because I want to stretch my leg. I'm so tired of that, particularly when it comes to a foreign flight here. But the Wole Soyinka, when we finished our program last week Monday, I think on Monday evening also, it broke out. Someone tweeted that Wole Soyinka has sat by the window because he loves sitting by the window. He has enjoyed the window side. Maybe because of whatever challenges, he loved the window. And somehow he went to sit by the window, and the young man asked him to stand up, and that was his seat. He showed him his boarding pass, and Wole Soyinka had to sit. And some people that say that was disrespectful of the young man to have asked him to stand up. That was his seat. Some said no, the young man should have known Wole Soyinka in African tradition. Some said no, that was the young man's seat, and the young man has a right to speak up. But in all of this, as an aviation freak, what's your take?
Okay, mixed feelings here. Number one is the young man really had a right to his seat. Every passenger gets a seat allocation. As a matter of fact, if you're hold hold on. If free sitting happens, you know it's free sitting. But once it's not free sitting,
but not in that business class.
Yes, more often than not, when the plane is filled to the brim, everybody takes the seat they are allocated to. And if you love the aisle, you ask those who are checking you in to put you on the aisle. And if you love window, you ask them to put you on the window seat. Right? But if they say to you that aisle is not available or that window is not available, you just get what you can get. That means you can.
Have a business class.
Is exactly the same. Okay. Even business class is the same. You have aisle position. You have the middle chair for those that are three in a row. But more often than not, the local flights you have them too. On both sides. So it's aisle and window. And so that is number one. The number two is the Africanness in us. If I were in that young man's shoes, if you're not my age today, yeah, not just only the gray hair, the personality of Wole Soyinka. What I would have done, whether he knew him or not, the man looked old enough for him to be probably his grandfather or his father, as the case might have been. But what I would have done, whether I knew him or not, I would have said to him, "Sir, that's my seat, but if you enjoy it, keep it. Where is your own seat?" And he tells me, I say, "Come on, enjoy yourself." I walk to his seat and take his seat position. That's what I would have done. But then if he offered, as I mentioned to him that that's my seat, and if he offered, "Oh, come on, take your seat," I'll say, if you don't mind, sir. And he says, "Yeah, sure."
You're very comfortable there?
Yeah, then I go take my seat. I wouldn't have made a fuss about it, okay? So we are still who we are. We are Nigerians and we are Africans. And we have our tradition, we have our culture, the culture of reverence, not just respect, reverence to elderly people. And so it would not have removed anything from that young man if he had considered his seat to whoever, whether it was one old man from the village visiting the city for the first time, whose children has bought, whose children have bought a ticket for the very first time in his life. It might be such an elderly man, trying to visit the city for the first time in his whole life. But the point is, the Africanness in us would have made that young man to be more, to have revered the old man and talk to him nicely rather than making a fuss and take the alternative seat. That's what I would have done if I were in his shoes. Okay. However, that does not deny the young man the legal right to his seat allocated to him by the airline. So it's all about understanding, all about training, and all about,
I'll leave it there. Some guys have said, "Hey guys, these people who have gone to enjoy business class should leave us alone." We're behind here. And when we're talking about some guys enjoying the business class, that part because that is enrichment. Let them solve their problem as those in the elite class here. How will I be somewhat in an Aero 5 bus going to Marabana?
That attitude also is a wrong. That attitude also is a wrong one. No, everybody's aspiring to higher heights.
It's all about the opinion. Someone said, "I can't waste my data on two business class passengers fighting over seat." Let's come on now.
We are doing part 2 of how international aero politics is killing the Nigerian aviation sector. And what we are really highlighting here is the opinion shared by the CEO of Air Peace, who, for once, as a practitioner, revealed all the hidden things and all the Nigerian airlines are going through in the hands of the international community. And then, of course, we are using that opportunity to set an agenda for the next Minister of Aviation. We don't know who that person will be at the moment, but we're saying some of these identified issues must be tackled, and we must begin to operate with the mentality of Nigeria first, in the Trump manner. And so we are now exposing these things, revealing them, just kind of amplifying them. I mean, the man who spoke has already spoken. He spoke to Punch newspaper, and we are now amplifying it for those who didn't get get opportunity to read through on the Punch newspaper, to hear us on TV. And if you have any other means of further amplifying this, go ahead. It's for building of our nation and giving our nation the best that it can have. I mean, nobody's going to build this country for us. We must build it ourselves. And a good nation will never fall from the skies. So let's hit the
okay, let's quickly go to clip one quickly. That's clip one here, part two. How aviation, aero politics is killing the Nigerian aviation sector, setting agenda for the next Minister of Aviation. If Adi Sirika is not going to come back, then the next man will need to watch and have this. Go ahead.
All right. Challenges faced by Nigeria. And this was clip 6 of last week that we are
starting with. As clip 1 to carry them along. Okay,
that's correct, so that people can refresh their memories on what we're discussing and then take it through to the rest of them. Now, challenges faced by Nigerian Airlines continue. Elsewhere, aviation fuel constitutes 40% of operational costs, but in Nigeria, it is 70%. Cost of maintenance of airplanes abroad is killing. For instance, ferrying of an empty airplane to USA for a C check costs $200,000 an equivalent of 72 million naira, just in fuel cost and overflight charges alone. Then the C check will cost approximately $2.5 million and approximately in naira 900 million naira just to do a C check on one aircraft. Unbelievable. Multiple charges is another problem. That's Chief Allen that is saying this to the world about what Nigerian airlines are. That's Allen Onyema, by the way, Chief Allen Onyema. An average ticket sold in Nigeria consists about 37 charges embedded in it. A 23,000 naira ticket sold by an airline delivers only about 9 to 10,000 naira into the coffers of the airline. Unbelievable. The rest go to spurious charges. So this is good information for the new minister. The PAMSEC, who is in charge right now, can even start doing something before a minister comes, because we can't go on this way as a nation. Let's move to clip 2 very quickly.
Clip 2, have clip 2, the reasons for the unfriendly attitude.
That's correct. Although Chief Allen Onyema, CEO of Air Peace, cited protection of foreign governments' indigenous airlines as the reason they are doing everything to undermine the Nigerian airlines, he kindly admitted that the current government of President Muhammadu Buhari is supportive of indigenous investments. He gave the following examples to buttress that point. By the way, what you're saying here is that Chief Allen Onyema is saying that foreign governments are protecting their own and doing everything possible to keep the lucrative route of Nigeria to themselves without Nigerian airlines getting some pieces of the cake. And so they do everything. But then he admittedly said that President Muhammad Buhari is supportive, and he gave a few examples of how supportive Mr. President has been. So one of the examples is that the government of Nigeria by itself submitted the name of Air Peace to the Indian government, and now the Indian government has given its nod to Air Peace. Cool. So Air Peace is going to be flying to India shortly, as a matter of fact, I think from tomorrow. Yeah. So B, same as in A.
Do they have enough fleets?
Oh yeah, you remember they acquired some Boeing 777. Those are huge jumbo jets, which they have been parking on the ground, leading some people to.
Those one that somebody called the National Stadium.
That's
when you sit at the back.
That's right. It's huge and long. I've flown that 777 about 3 times. Between London and the US, and it was really awesome. The very first day I set my eyes on 777.
What about the ones used for pilgrimage? There was one when I was going to Israel in 2006, if I'm precise now, 6 or 5. We got 6. Yeah, we got this one that had about 4 or 5 seats this way, 4 or 5 seats this way. or 4 seats here, 4 seats here, or 3 or 4. And we all gathered at the airport, and I was shocked that one airline just sweep everybody. And we
that must have been either a 767 or the top range of what's this other model? The very popular 747. Yeah, the top model of 747. That might have been.
But that look excessively big.
You know, it's either of the 767 or the top range of 74. You know, they have them in different categories of the same brand, number. You know, Boeing is just busy designing and toying around. When you look at Air Force One, you find that Air Force. Oh, I took the time at the weekend to go through Air Force One. Yeah. I look at the engine, about 4 or 5 or 6 engines. Unbelievable.
5 engines everywhere, and I just take some time to play some videos on Air Force One, saying that this guy. Let's come back to our topic.
Yeah, yeah. So B says same as in A above happened with South Africa by July 2nd, 2019. Both South Africa and India will be receiving the first Air Peace flights in their respective countries. So tomorrow is 2nd of July, and so Air Peace may be heading to India and also South Africa, and where else are we talking about now? So that's good news, isn't it? So clip 3 quickly. Here we go. Reasons for unfriendly attitude continue. USA and United Kingdom are also on the table. They hope to meet the requirements of those countries by acquiring more planes, and they get started. So Chief Onyema is saying that because of the action of the government, especially the intervention of Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, that the governments of India and South Africa, and now again US and United Kingdom, are allowing Nigerian airlines that qualify, for flying in, because every country has got its standards, and you must meet those standards if you must come in. So here Chief Onyema is saying to us that South Africa is settled deal, India is settled deal by the intervention of Mr. President, and then USA and United Kingdom will soon be settled because they still need to meet a few of their requirements, which include the acquisition of more planes to ensure that they have time to maintain these airplanes and don't risk people's lives. Let's move to clip 4 very quickly.
Clip 4 quickly?
Clip 4.
Okay, clip 4, that's in there.
Single Africa Air Travel Market, the SAT-M. Okay. The Single Africa Air Travel Market SAT-M received hard knocks from Chief Allen Onyema as he described the idea as a big fraud against Nigeria. Excuse me. Chief Onyema maintained SAT-M had not created a level playing field for everyone. Although the general idea of SAT-M is noble, in practical sense, it is a fraud against Nigeria. I'm quoting Chief Onyema here.
Okay.
Nigeria has a huge mobile population. While the other countries feast on Nigeria, they make it difficult for Nigeria to come to their own countries. So that is the point. Chief Onyema is saying here that the single air, the African single air, that's how they call it, one air, in which case we can be crisscrossing each other's countries and picking up passengers and dropping, for those who signed on. And Chief Onyema is saying, hey, listen, this is a fraud. We've got all the market. We've got, a mobile population, and so there should be a way of controlling what other foreign airlines do in our country, because they over-control what we do. You are going to see some of the things that he claimed, Chief Onyema claimed that they do to them when they go to their own countries. So let's move to clip 5 very quickly.
Clip 5 very quickly. Let's go in clip 5. That's clip 5.
Nigerian Airlines media untimely death on the international route. So Chief Onyema is saying here that the internet.
Is Aero still doing London?
I wouldn't be sure of that. I need to confirm that. But I'll tell you what, Arik, I don't know, my heart bleeds because when that airline started, I could swear that it would never come down because it started with brand new airplanes, started with a whole lot of fleet of airplanes.
It had this Lufthansa guy doing the maintenance.
That's right. So whatever went wrong is another case study. Somebody needs to go and study exactly what went on and report back. I can do that, actually. I have.
From what we saw in Arik, I who suffered about some 11 hours delay at the Port Harcourt airport one day. I told someone then Arik was the bride of the air, but we knew Arik was going down. And some of the staff had told me that, hey guys, some of the flights that were booked are scheduled, just the politician will give a call, and the next time the flight is turned to somewhere.
Exactly what went on with Nigeria Airways in the days of Nigeria Airways. It's very sad that a private airline and private airline management would fall for such cheap popularity and then kill their business. Quite sad. Truly, my heart bleeds about what's going on with Arik Air. However, I remember my visitors then from the U.S., who were supposed to return to the U.S. by the same airline. And they couldn't leave, and they were abandoned in the airport. Nobody took care of them. Nobody paid any for lunch or for dinner, and everybody on his or her own, and that was totally unacceptable. And but anyway, like I've advertised a couple of times here, we're setting up a system that will stop all that nonsense. Very shortly, we'll launch our website. And if any airline misbehaves, you just get to the website, report what it is, and we'll take up that airline. And by the time they pay out so much, they learn to behave well.
Correct. That's
yeah. So, clip 5. Nigerian airlines meet their untimely death on the international route. On the international arena, why foreign airlines are tolerated with 70% compliance. The bar for Nigerian airlines is put at 200% compliance. You see what Chief Onyema is saying here, that for other airlines, if they're able to achieve that 70% compliance on the conditions for coming in, they are good to go. But Nigeria will go beyond 100% and still they are still looking out for something. So paragraph 2 of this is saying the foreign governments check Nigerian airlines unnecessarily by looking for faults. Chief Allen Onyema described this attitude as the killer international aero politics. He urged the Nigerian government to engage in tit for tat. Foreign carriers don't like competition, as Nigerian routes are the most lucrative in the world. Still quoting Chief Onyema. Chief Onyema said emphatically. He cited an example of one of the Gulf airlines now offering hotels for economy tickets just to compete with Air Peace on that route. Can you see that? One of the Gulf airlines has just begun to offer hotel accommodation with economy tickets, just because they are expecting Air Peace on the route to India. And so it's part of the
to make the market tough.
That's right. And these things are not sponsored by the airlines. Unfortunately, they are sponsored by the governments of the country.
Maybe Qatar or
whatever.
Just go there when you fly.
Let's not speculate on which country is doing this, but this is the information we have.
That's the country where we know that the Gulf guys are into very tough. Some of those guys around the Middle East, and even the Gulf countries like Qatar and others, they could go anywhere to keep themselves dominating Emirates and others.
Yeah. So, and Chief Onyema alleged that state funds are used for these unhealthy competitions. That's confirming what you're saying. That those kind of governments will do everything. But then it calls for us to also look inwards and see how we can counter what they're doing.
What do we got now?
Yeah, clip 6.
Clip 6 is the way Nigerian government
ways Nigeria can help. Having enumerated all the factors killing Nigerian airlines, Chief Allen Onyema recommended how the Nigerian government can help as follows. One, government must stop permitting multiple destinations for foreign carriers. That's having a foreign carrier come in here, land in Port Harcourt, take off from Port Harcourt and do a local flight and land in Abuja and perhaps continue to Lagos. It's totally unacceptable and unknown in the aviation business, around the world. We must put an end to that. We must put an end to it, and then allow our local airlines do the job of local flights and continue to live and survive. Okay. Number two, production of aviation fuel in Nigeria will reduce its costs. So definitely, we all know that, and we're wondering why our refineries are still not doing well. Provision of maintenance facilities, the MRO, in Nigeria will not only reduce cost of aircraft maintenance, but will also conserve Nigeria's forests. I agree completely.
Okay.
More banks should be ready to support airlines in Nigeria. Well, fair enough, but airlines also should learn to be responsible and pay their debts, as I'm going to do.
Correct.
Because that's how they kill the banking business in Nigeria. So we've got to balance this and be sure people are behaving well. Now, number 7, which is the last clip for the day, mergers and acquisitions in the airline industry. On the idea of...
Clip 7 quickly.
Clip 7.
Clip 7, that's the last. Let's go.
That's correct. On the idea of merging airlines in Nigeria in the bid to achieving strength and better services, Chief Allen Onyema rhetorically said, airlines are not banks. You cannot force mergers in airline business. Can you ask all the supermarkets in Nigeria to become one? Airlines can only merge on their own free will. Can you merge an airline that faithfully pays worker salaries with one that is owing 10 months of salary?
That's a big question.
Those are the big questions Oyema wants somebody somewhere to answer when we begin to tinker with the idea of acquiring and merging airlines. And so Mr. Chief Onyema is saying, no. You can't mix apples and oranges and call them one.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. So that's where we come to the end of this topic. Is actually all we can take concerning how international aero politics is killing the Nigerian aviation sector and setting an agenda for the next Minister of Aviation. But I can tell the PAMSEC, who is holding sway at the moment, you can begin to do something now.
Okay, that's a nice one there. Permanent Secretary, if you're hearing here, keep doing something. Don't wait for the minister to come on board. Keep doing something so that you also, within your short bridge period here, you can write your name on go. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Wish you all the very best.
Well, next week we're going to do another fantastic series that my viewers will get to know when they hook onto the WhatsApp platform.
Okay, thank you very much. Follow him on the social media platform. He will be giving you a pre-appearance gist there so that you can be ahead of many persons who will just be waiting for the Monday 8 a.m. gist here. We'll take a break. After the break here, when we return back, we will be looking at issues that surround the Rugal settlement. Many people are not asking questions here. Many are just talking. Many are not asking questions here. Federal government tries to explain. Some state government tries to explain. Diverse in opinion here. But yet we will keep the conversation going on ITV. And indeed, at the end of all of this, we will be better for it as a nation after this break.